I've got a wild idea. Couldn't we just say, hey, Tar Heels, guess what? We're starting the game with the second half. I think that might help things a little bit.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. Welcome into this live postcast edition of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports podcast network there is. Thanks so much for joining us after the game to get your content going. Special shout out to all the everydayers here with us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, our insiders as well. This episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. Download it and get started today. All right, here we go. North Carolina knocks off St. Bonaventure 85-70. I'm very disappointed because in my prediction show today, I started and I said 85-70 Tar Heels. Yeah, I think it's going to be too few possessions. Give me 80-65. Nah, 75-60. So I landed with that 15-point margin, but 10 points off. Carolina betters than what I thought they would be. They are 6-0. For the first time since the national championship season, we will take that at KenPom. It has refreshed. Carolina is up to 21st in the nation at KenPom. The offense, not to the territory they need to be yet, 36th overall, but the defense has now climbed into the top 20 at KenPom. They are 18th. That win means it's going to be a party. No therapy session here, and we'll take it. For those of you who are watching in real time, you'll notice that my background looks wildly different than you're used to seeing. That's because I'm on Thanksgiving vacation with my family right now, and they're very graciously allowing me to go off and do my job. So I'm here with you all on Tuesday night, and I'm at my good family friend's house, Jan, and she's out of town. So she's letting me rock her house. So Jan, thank you so much. If you just ever happen to watch or listen to this, and her daughter, Katie, our best friend, and her husband, Joe, thanks to you guys for making it happen as well. I'm elated that we can still bring you this live postcast and all my podcasts all week long, because that's my commitment to you all. Hopefully you're having a good lead up to Thanksgiving as well. Oh, by the way, so here's what we do on this live postcast. Going to bring you big picture things, small, minute things that matter specifically to this game. We'll take some comments and questions from you guys, and then we'll get out of here, and I'm going to record tomorrow's show. Here's where we're going to start. I first need to remind you that not all mid-majors are created equal. You might look at this and bemoan the fact that Carolina only won this game by 15. And quite frankly, I guess if they had limited their turnovers in the first half, we'll talk about that more in a second, it would have been a bigger margin. But the spread in this game was 10.5, and Carolina covered it. Meanwhile, you've got, for example, Michigan State, who Carolina plays on Thursday. They were playing East Carolina, and that line was like 23 or 24 or something like that. If you look at the KenPom rankings, St. Bonaventure, 116th in the nation, and, you know, they're a good mid-major team in the A10. And then you look at ECU, and they're like in the mid-200s at KenPom and a lower American school. So I just need you to remember, don't start looking at how Carolina performed against St. Bonaventure and how Michigan State performed against ECU and say, well, I tell you what, Michigan State looks so much better. They handled their mid-major team today wildly better than Carolina. You guys, that is a misnomer. Do not fall into that trap. Yes, Carolina could have performed better in this game, and we'll talk about that. But you need to know that they did their job and they covered. This was a step back in the right direction after the Navy game. And quite frankly, because of some of the toughness and grit that St. Bonaventure showed, which I don't think I appreciated enough coming into the game, how much they'd be able to offer, I think it helped prepare Carolina even more for what they're going to face on Thursday against Michigan State. So I'm actually very thankful for how this game turned out in that regard. Does that make sense? Yes. If not, holler at me. We'll talk about it together. Okay, I can't figure out how we're 5 minutes into the show, and I have not yet said a word about Carolina's front court. These dudes just continue to shine at a high level. And yes, I know it was not a wildly efficient game for Caleb Wilson, but yet, and there are ways that he could have been more efficient in this game. I'm actually going to save that conversation for the full on Wednesday show. So make sure you buckle up for that tomorrow on Thanksgiving Eve. But yet, Henri Veesaar, 20.10 rebound, double-double. Caleb Wilson, 20.10 rebound, double-double. Yes, both of Carolina's starting front court guys got 20-10 dub-dubs. That is crazy town. For Henri Veesaar in totality, he got a career-high 24 points on 9 of 14 shooting, and at the free throw line, or had that one 3 earlier in the game. At the free throw line, the box score says 5 of 6, but that ain't right. He missed 2 free throws at the end of this game. He should have 3 missed free throws. I wonder if those... Hang on, you guys. This happens more often than it should. Yes, the missed free throws by Henri Veesaar in the official box score are credited to Jaren Stevenson. 1:15 left in this. Somebody's got to go fix this. Got to make it happen. Anyway, Henri Veesaar, 24 points, career high. Henri Veesaar, 13 rebounds, career high. Coming into this season, Henri Veesaar had never made it to double-digit rebounds, and now he's got not only double-digit rebounds, but double-doubles in 3 of his 6 games as a Tar Heel. He just needed the opportunity, and now he's getting it. As for Caleb Wilson, he now gets his 4th straight double-double, his first bloody nose, and it is his 3rd straight 20 and 10 double-double for Caleb Wilson. I mean, and to get to that level on a night where he shoots 5 of 13 from the field, some of that is his own making. Again, we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. But what is so impressive is that Caleb continued to attack, getting to the free throw line, 10 shots, making every last one of them. So literally half of his points came from the free throw line, and he got his own 12 rebounds. So 20 and 12 for Caleb, 24 and 13 for Henry. They combined for 44 and 25. What? 44 and 25. That's Carolina had 85 points. So that's over half of Carolina's points. You could look at that and say, wow. You could also say, maybe we need to spread the love around a little more. And maybe there's some truth to that. But this front court, man, just absolutely rolling, and they got to keep doing it. Massive test coming up against Michigan State on Thursday. For Carolina, what's so interesting about this game is I think we leave the first half feeling like, oh, that's ugly. You don't have the lead you should. Gross. But before we get to that, let's remind ourselves that Carolina got the absolute start they needed, especially because the last time we saw them in action was that Navy game where they struggled down the stretch, let Navy go on that crazy run to cut it, and they only won by 12 in a game that they had been up 24 with 4.5 to go or whatever it was. Carolina starts this game on fire. They're moving the ball efficiently, effectively, getting good looks. They knock down 3 of their first 4 from beyond the arc. They get a 15-5 lead. They get a 21-10 lead, but then they let the Bonnies right back in it. Eventually, St. Bonaventure ties it up. It was 28. St. Bonaventure takes a lead because Carolina started getting careless with the basketball. We'll go there in just a second. So Carolina gets the start they want, but what they have to now figure out is how do we become the type of team that's elite? That not only do we get that lead, that start, that beginning to the game, but then we build on it. The issue for me right now is that the starters are doing what they need to do, but when you get that first rotation of the backups coming in, they are not doing enough, whether that's Zayden High or Jonathan Powell or Derek Dixon. I want to talk about Derek Dixon in a little bit, and Zayden High as well. But when they came in is when St. Bonaventure made their run. Carolina started around the 10-minute mark. Carolina started getting really sloppy. The offense was not as efficient without Kyan Evans running the show. And I also should say right here, a lot of this is helped when Seth Trimble is back in the mix. Let me remind you, Carolina has played 2 games at full strength, and the first of those was with Luka Bogovac basically finding out an hour or two before the game he was going to be able to play, and then the Kansas game, and they've not been full strength since. So it's going to be, another month, maybe more, before Carolina can ever get to that point. But what that means is that right now, that depth has a massive opportunity to figure out, to grow and to get better before Seth Trimble returns. And that's what Carolina needs to do. Right now, while they got those opportunities, they got to prove it so that Coach Davis will continue to play them. So anyway, there's those issues in the first half. They weren't able to make a late first half run, the Tar Heels, to get it back out. Because, right, was it 35-32 at the half? Am I remembering that correctly? Yes. No, 35-33. So Carolina was up 2 at the half. The biggest glaring issue is the same biggest glaring issue that we've seen time in and time out this season, and that was this. North Carolina is too sloppy with the basketball. How many times this season have we gotten to the halftime break and they've already got 9, 10, 11, 12 turnovers? I mean, I need to go back and look at it. Maybe I'll do that before I record Wednesday's show, but good grief. But then how many times have they done that and then come out in the second half and taken much better care of the basketball? And then they go on a big run, and that's what happened in this game, because they finish outscoring St. Bonaventure 50-37 in the second half. The biggest example of that was Kansas, where Carolina was down 8 at halftime, took care of the basketball, and then things completely flipped on their head. Same was true tonight. North Carolina didn't commit their first turnover of the second half until it was about 5 minutes in. And that was kind of a ticky-tack offensive foul, whatever. And then there was only one other turnover in the second half. Was like with 2 minutes to go in the game, everything was already decided. So yes, while you have all of those turnovers in the first half of this basketball game, the total was 11, just 2 more turnovers in the second half, one of which was 5 minutes in, and the other was like with the game decided with 2 minutes to go. If Carolina could simply find a way to do that, convince themselves it's the second half right out of the gate, they would be killing everyone they played. And let's forecast ahead to Thursday. If you do that against Michigan State, you might find yourself in too big of a hole that you won't be able to dig out of in the second half. That's the worry and that's the concern. But again, when Carolina holds on to the basketball, things go much better. All right. One of the places Carolina really made some hay on Tuesday night was at the free throw line, where they just obliterated St. Bonaventure there. And Carolina, unfortunately, was without Kyan Evans for a lot of the second half. But I thought maybe one of the most important things that happened in this game was that Derek Dixon had a massive opportunity, and I thought he showed out in a good way. We'll look at all of that coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about our good friends at FanDuel. Y'all, the NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game, maybe you want to ride the hot hand as the game's already going. No worries there. FanDuel has live bets for you on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks and anything else you want to get in on. What's really, really cool about it is you could combine any of those live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout, man. It's so, so cool. And when you do that, it keeps every game exciting because you got something riding on it. You got a little bit of something specific you're wanting to do and see if that outcome happens, and it's really, really neat. North Carolina right now, 3rd in the ACC regular season odds behind Duke and Louisville, and just ahead of NC State and Clemson. Caleb Wilson right now tied for 8th in the Wooden Award odds at plus 2,200. I haven't seen a line yet for Thursday's game against Michigan State. I'm guessing it's going to be one team and the other by like 1.5 or 2.5. So get in on that line, because right now FanDuel is giving new customers just like you $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. And you can get that $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, I've got the box score pulled up for those of you watching in real time. No worries. If you're listening, I'm going to keep talking about it. I just want other folks to be able to see it as well. So where we're headed next is to the free throw line. And oh my word, this is that thing. Like, if you are a longtime Carolina fan, you know that this is a Tar Heel staple. That Carolina, game in and game out, wants to make more free throws than their opponent takes. And that's exactly what happened in this game. When it's all said and done, North Carolina is 21 of 27 at the free throw line, while St. Bonaventure is 5 of 8. And, you know, some of that came in the waning moments as things were already decided. I copied it down when things were really mattering. Carolina, with like basically at the halfway point of the second half, the Tar Heels were 20 of 23 at the free throw line, and St. Bonaventure was 1 of 2. 1 of 2. And North Carolina had 60 points at that point. So literally a third of their points came at the free throw line. So A, that's incredible because Carolina is on the attack, doing things they need to do in that regard. But the other thing it does is no St. Bonaventure's players fouled out of this game, but you start to get some of those dudes in foul trouble, and then coaches have to make decisions, cycle guys in and out. And it's a whole thing. I haven't downloaded the version yet of the box score that tells you how many fouls each player draws. But again, remember Caleb Wilson, I said, went to the free throw line 10 times in this thing. And so, I mean, you got to imagine he drew more than everybody else. I'm going to see if I can grab. Oh, there we go. The box score is ready now. So let's see it in real time. How many fouls Caleb Wilson drew? 6. So it's not the biggest number that he's drawn all season, but it was really, really nice. Good job there from Caleb Wilson. Where we want to go next as we continue to look through this game is Derek Dixon and the opportunity he had. Now, Kyan Evans committed his 4th foul early in the second half. How much time was left when that happened? Let me look back in real time. 3rd foul at 15, 4th foul at 13:01. I mean, when you do that with double-digit minutes remaining, you're going to be out until basically the under 4 timeout more often than not, and that was the case. And what that meant was that Derek Dixon was going to have to come in and run the show against a pretty tough, gritty St. Bonaventure's team. And we saw how that didn't go all that efficiently in the first half when Derek Dixon came in to take the reins. Well, Derek Dixon, let's see what he finished with while we're looking at it for the game. 5 points, 1 of 2 from the field. And that one that he made was that deep corner 3 off a bogey kickout. Luka Bogovac, by the way, just quick aside, how many 4 assists, 1 turnover. Wow. Leading assister for Carolina in this game was Luka Bogovac, who had a couple nice threes, 2 of 2 at the free throw line. That's great stuff. The other assist that sticks out in my mind from Bogey was maybe the play of the game. Top of the key, one hand, look off pass to Henri Veesaar for one of his 3, I believe he had, dunks in this game. Really, really nice look from Luka there. Again, the steadying veteran hand that he can bring is great. So Derek Dixon, 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, just 1 turnover in his 15 minutes, 2 of 2 at the free throw line as well. And so there's nothing he did that stands out that was like wild or crazy. But what I love is that when he checked in, literally the next play, was able to drive, get to the free throw and get fouled and go to the free throw line, sunk them both. Then hit a big wing 3 right after that. And then he finished a run out for 65-50, giving Carolina at that point their biggest lead of the game. He had back-to-back nice assists, one for Jaren Stevenson and then another for Henri Veesaar on back-to-back possessions. That got it up to like 71-52 or something like that. So I thought really important minutes for Derek Dixon to start proving what he could do and how this team could function and operate when Kyan Evans goes to the bench, whether it's foul trouble like he had tonight, whether it's when he goes for a breather. Carolina has to find a way to not have the level of drop-off they've had when Kyan Evans checks out. Some of that is getting Seth Trimble back, but some of that is Derek Dixon being able to find ways to get the team moving and into the places they need to be more capably so. So we'll continue to watch for that. So there's all of that information. Carolina's defense. I had said one of my big takes ahead in my preview for this game was that North Carolina's defense needed to continue to find ways to improve and to grow. And so for the game, St. Bonaventure shot 41.4%, 29 out of 70, 7 of 17 from beyond the arc. That's 41.2%. So you wish, you could hold them a little bit lower, but even still, Carolina still has the best 2-point field goal percentage defense in the entire nation. It jumped up a little bit to 35.7%. But you guys, this is where you see the complete flip of everything that the Tar Heels were in the front court last year. Henri Veesaar bothers so many shots around the rim, or just at least causes the opposition to think about what they're doing. Caleb Wilson's length and athleticism, what Jaren Stevenson does to shut down a player like Caden Charles. Remember, he had that massive size advantage on him. Stevenson 6'10", Caden Charles 6'3". Charles comes into this game averaging 14 points a game. He got a whopping 6 points, and I believe almost all of those were in the closing minutes of this basketball game. And so, it's just Carolina's defense and what they're able to do is so good. And they're doing it right now without Seth Trimble. I think that's the critical thing. Yet another opponent held below 70 points. If my memory is not mistaking me, that means Carolina has held all 6 opponents to 75 or fewer points. You're going to win a lot of basketball games that way. And you're probably going to have to play that way on Thursday against Michigan State, who has one of the top defenses also in the nation. Carolina and Michigan State are going to punch each other in the mouth a lot, but you got to be the tougher team and you got to run great offense and get great buckets. Coming into this game, one of the things we discussed was the fact that despite being outmatched from a size perspective, St. Bonaventure is one of the elite teams in the nation in terms of blocking shots and in avoiding getting their own shots blocked. To that point, North Carolina, who got 9 against Navy, only blocked 1 shot in this game. It proved to be true. St. Bonaventure, crafty, wiry in that way, and they led Carolina. They had 5 blocks themselves. And then the rebounding thing was a thing coming into this game because St. Bonaventure is 6th in the nation in offensive rebounding percentage, not just mid-majors, the entire nation. And so when you look at the split box score, that is the one I have up on screen, Carolina led total rebounds 40-31. That's encouraging. But the area we were concerned about coming in was Carolina finishing defensive possessions with getting rebounds. So Carolina, where they led was in defensive rebounding. They had 30 to St. Bonaventure's 20. And St. Bonaventure did lead offensive reboundings, but just 11-10. And Carolina actually led second chance points 13-11. So basically you call that a wash and you've mitigated St. Bonaventure's advantage on the offensive glass, but you saw where that was coming from, man. Frank Mitchell was a load inside for Carolina. He's a very good player, 18 points, 9 of 18 shooting. But you see that that's the kind of player that gives me worry and pause about Carolina this season. When you look at, just that kind of bulkier, even if a little bit undersized big, kind of like Keba Keita when Carolina played BYU. Carolina had some troubles with him. They're going to have to maybe bring some doubles at him because I don't know that Veesaar might get moved and bumped out of the way with some of that. And then also, obviously, Daryl Simmons had a really nice night, 22 points, 4 threes, 9 of 16 from the field. So, look, St. Bonaventure's got some guys. Don't miss out on that. They are going to be a good A-10 team. Again, not all mid-majors are created equal. Obviously, more for Carolina to continue to grow in and to work on, but you see where things are at right now. And I think they're ready for Michigan State on Thursday afternoon. But you got to bring your big boy pants to that game. All right, I want to go over to the chat and see what observations, questions you guys have that we can answer. Then we'll get out of here, let you get on with your Tuesday night, and I'll record Wednesday's show so that you can have that in your inbox when you wake up if you're an audio listener on Wednesday morning, or it'll be live at 9 a.m. Eastern, as always, on YouTube on Wednesday morning. All that coming up in just a second. All right. Here we go. J Chill 1290. I'd like to see a little more Isaiah Dennis. He might have the purest shot on the team. By the way, I hadn't thought about this till he canned that 3. I think it was the last bucket of the game. I was like, ID 3, Isaiah Dennis 3. I think that suddenly becomes a thing. ID 3. I'm also trying to make the big Estonian a thing for Henri Veesaar. I think that just makes sense, right? Yeah, look, Isaiah Dennis is nice with it. Let me remind everyone that Isaiah Dennis is really just working his way back in. He had finger surgery and is getting just now to be healthy. Quick drink, excuse me. And so I'm curious to see if he can work his way into this lineup in any regard this year. If he's going to keep hitting some shots, then it'll be hard to keep him out of the lineup. And, this isn't the year where he's going to get a bunch of minutes, maybe 5 a game, 7 a game, if he can keep working in, but he's got the requisite height. He's clearly got the shot, as Jay Chill says here. And so, yeah, some really, really nice stuff there. Knights who say knee. What's up? Always great to hear from you. Knee. Cut down the mightiest fish in the forest with a herring. If you don't know that reference, shame on you. Go watch Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail this week during Thanksgiving, and you will thank me later. Anyway, Knights Say Knee says, Veesaar is a portal home run for Hubert. You guys, if there are going to be people bagging on Hubert Davis and the staff for their portal misses, and there are some portal misses, in the same breath, man, the praise has to be equally as loud for Brady Manick and Harrison Ingram and Cormac Ryan and, oh my goodness, Henri Veesaar. Because literally, was it yesterday's show, Monday's show? I talked about, look, we are praising Caleb Wilson as well we should, but Henri Veesaar is going to be special. And for Carolina to have gone and found that, despite him not being a starter at Arizona, despite him not having as many minutes or opportunity as he was going to develop into, man, that is a recruiting win right on Knights Who Say Knee, a home run higher. Melinda Dolphin says, Isaac, what led to Kyan Evans getting 4 fouls? I need to go back and watch each of them, Melinda, but at least for that 4th one, it was a immature decision. Here's what I mean. When you are your team's point guard and you have 3 fouls early in the second half, you have to be so careful. Kyan Evans picked up that 4th foul on a silly reach around foul, trying to poke the ball from behind. You don't need that. There are very few exceptions when you gamble on a reach around poke from behind. And that was clearly not the moment to do it. Now, that's a learning moment from Kyan Evans. And again, I love that it gave Derek Dixon that opportunity in the second half to get some more minutes. But at least for that one, that was not wise for Kyan Evans. He's got to be smarter than that. This team needs him. He is critical to Carolina's success. And so, Melinda and everyone else, let's keep an eye on that with Kyan. I also want to get Melinda's next comment up right after that. Hi, y'all, and happy Thanksgiving. That's exactly right, man. It's great to be together on a holiday week, hanging out, talking hoops. And my goodness, Tennessee beat Houston tonight. Jacoby Gillespie is a dude. Boy, I wanted him in Carolina blue, but I get it. He went home to Knoxville. One other thing quick from Melinda here is she says best stat, 7 players got assists and 7 players got rebounds. Since Melinda is bringing that, let's bring back up the box score one more time here so we can see it. And I'll look at it on my screen as well. Yes. Rebounds. None for Luka Bogovac. He was the only starter without a rebound. None for James Brown. He got less than a minute. Jaden Young, Isaiah Dennis, none. But, Jaden played less than a minute. Isaiah played 2 or 3. But every other player that got in had rebounds, obviously led by Henry and Caleb with their combined 25. But the key here, yes, assists. 3, 1, 3, 2, and 4 from your starters. So the starters combined for 6, 10, 13 of Carolina's 16 assists. Really, really good stuff. Carolina, 16 assists on 28 made field goals. I haven't looked at the assist percentage of this one yet. 16 divided by 28, 57. Another game close to 60% on assist percentage. Really good stuff. By the way, Michigan State, they assist on 75% of their made baskets. Carolina is going to have to play disciplined basketball, and that's going to be important. So 16 assists to 13 turnovers. Again, you got to cut down the turnovers, but really good to see the dispersion of how Carolina continues to be able to share the basketball. Really important stuff there. All right, so thanks, Melinda, for pointing that out. Really, really appreciate it. Let's keep on going down the thing. Yeah, Vook6931 says, love to see Caleb Wilson be so productive despite a hard night, and especially love that it being harder on Caleb tangibly gave Henri Veesaar an absolute banger night. And that's true. Caleb Wilson was not as effective shooting the ball tonight. And some of it was that I thought he accepted the double teams and tried to do too much with it instead of passing out of it. You saw one critical play where he did pass out of it. And because Carolina is such a good passing team, it wound up with a wide open Kyan Evans 3. That's what he's got to be doing. But yes, that's the thing is Caleb Wilson is so good. Henri Veesaar is so good. Those guys are going to get doubled. And when they do, they've got to make the opposition pay. And that's the thing. They brought those doubles. Henri Veesaar has a massive, massive night. I want to go to this one that Vuk says as well. Stevenson, Jaren, did better than stats make it look, in my opinion, too. Like evergreen comment here, right? Because this is true of Jaren Stevenson, essentially game in and game out. He is always better than the box score suggests. So let me remind you all, as always, don't just be a box score looker and say, Jaren Stevenson's not helping North Carolina win basketball games. That is a dumb and uninformed take. Similar to Kobe White, Leaky Black. I'm going color last names, and I did the wrong one. Leaky Black. A lot of times, he had nice stats that would show up sometimes, but a lot of times, the biggest appreciation for what Leaky did was watching him play in his early defensive work that didn't force him to go for block shots or to force him to go to steals. He did his early work, used his feet to stay in front of players. That's also when Armando took his big jump defensively as a senior or as a fifth-year player. It was because of that. Not necessarily he was blocking more shots, although he did, or more steals. It's that he was a better defender with his feet. And so watch Jaren Stevenson move. Watch him shut off the water for opposing players. And with Seth out, that is so wildly critical right now that he be doing that. So that's a massive part of Jaren's game. But one of the critiques of Jaren Stevenson coming over from Alabama to North Carolina is that he is too often too passive. I was really, really impressed with Jaren's level of aggressiveness multiple times in this game. He had a great attack off the break for a reverse finish to get Carolina a 12-5 lead. He got fouled, missed it because he's not a good free throw shooter. Like a little bit later, he got beat on defense, but because of his length, had a really nice block out of that. I always love it when players are able to block and keep it in bounds and recover it, but I always do love a good block into the stands as well. He had a great drive on the left side of the lane to get Carolina a 28-23 lead. Like just other moments like that. Again, he had that, I can't remember if it was a dunk or a layup off a nice Derek Dixon assist. And so Jaren finishes 9 points on a very efficient 4 of 8 shooting. He's got to start making his threes though. That's the critical thing for Jaren so far this season. He's getting good looks, just not knocking them down. I believe they're going to come. Because I truly think Jaren's a better 3-point shooter than his career numbers suggest, but his career numbers from 3 aren't that great. And I guess at some point you got to call a spade a spade. So, God, man, I just don't know with that. But Jaren says 1 of 5 at the free throw line. Again, I believe 2 of those should be attributed to Henri Veesaar, so 1 of 3, but 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, and that block in 31 minutes. He was plus 11. So yes, Jaren Stevenson helps his team in a multitude of ways that a lot of people maybe aren't showing. And so you get all that. Gamer Boy, what's up? Gamer Boy says, North Carolina covered while playing sloppy. Imagine if they didn't turn the ball over in the first half of games, they'd be a top 5 team. You know what? That's great. Just let it, let's rest on it a little bit. Let everybody sleep. But no, here's the thing. I said it earlier. North Carolina did cover, and it's against a better than people realized mid-major team. Do not equate them with ECU. Let me repeat that one last time, right? St. Bonaventure, much better than the Pirates. But yeah, Carolina's got to get this cleaned up, man. They got to get it going from the jump, which they did, but they got to carry that on through the first half. They could have been on autopilot in the second half of this game, but instead they had to keep pushing and keep pressing. X-Real JJ says Zayden High sucks so bad. I bring up this comment because I actually thought this is one of Zayden High's better games of the season. And so I don't want to throw shade here at X-Real JJ, but for Zayden, the numbers, obviously you look at it and it's not wild. 8 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 2 from the field, 1 rebound. It was offensive, but it was an offensive rebound and put back for those 2 points. Had 1 turnover. That was not a good one, but also had a steal. Had some other nice things that he did. Let me remind myself of them. Had the block. Oh, he had a really nice seal on the interior that allowed Kyan Evans to get a layup that tied it back at 30. And so, like, as Carolina was struggling midway through the first half, that was when High came in and had that block, sealed off his man for cut. Like, that's essentially an assist to me when you're able to do that as a big. The moving screen, obviously you can't have that, but he had a steal in the second half that led to some Derek Dixon free throw. Like, just some nice moments from Zayden High, but I think the point here where I would agree with X-Real is you got to have more of those, because you got to be able to have Henri Veesaar not have to play 35 minutes a night like he did against St. Bonaventure. I mean, probably going to have to play Henry 37, 38 against Michigan State, and there's that. So anyway, man, so many great things to continue to talk about. We'll do that on the Wednesday show. I want to thank all of you so much for being here with us. Man, I'm seeing lots of great comments. A lot of happy Thanksgiving, a lot of all that. And man, as we get ready for Thanksgiving, I'm going to say this again more this week, but I'm just overcome with how thankful I am for all of you that tune in, show in and show out, game in and game out. Man, it means so much to be able to do this together, and it's all because of you. So thank you. Thank you for being here with us. And I want to tell you, if you're just tuning in and you're not normally with us, man, make this a habit. Come be part of this great community. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. You can do it right down there if you're watching. Join the show. Subscribe on audio if you prefer to listen that way. Maybe you got some Thanksgiving travel and you want to do that. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, baby, come on in. That water's fine. It's a great place to be. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Group, that's another great place. Both those links are in the show notes. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, and then on Thanksgiving, Coach Rob will be with me. And yes, even though it's Thanksgiving, we will go live after the Michigan State lose, whether it's a party or a therapy session. And then I'll have a Friday show for you as well, because I'm here for you. But until tomorrow, peace.